Kritavan, done by Kila, what? Karmani, acts, Saha, along with Ramena, Balaram, Keshava, Shri Krishna, Atimartyani, superhuman, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Gudha, masked as, Kapata, apparently, Manushaha, human being. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Lord Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, along with Balaram, played like a human being, and so masked, he performed many superhuman acts. Purport. The doctrines of anthropomorphism and zoomorphism are never applicable to Shri Krishna or the personality of Godhead. The theory that a man becomes God by dint of penance and austerities is very much rampant nowadays, especially in India. Since Lord Rama, Lord Krishna, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were detected by the sages and saints to be the personality of Godhead, as indicated in the revealed scriptures, many unscrupulous men have created their own incarnations. This process of concocting an incarnation of God has become an ordinary business, especially in Bengal. Any popular personality with a few traits of mystic powers will display some feat of jugglery and easily become an incarnation of Godhead by popular vote. Lord Shri Krishna was not that type of incarnation. He was actually the personality of Godhead from the very beginning of his appearance. He appeared before his so-called mother as four-armed Vishnu. Then at the request of the mother, he became like a human child and at once left her for another devotee at Gokula, where he was accepted as the son of Nanda Maharaj and Jashoda Mata. Similarly, Sri Baladev, the counterpart of Lord Shri Krishna, was also considered a human child born of another wife of Sri Vasudeva. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that his birth and deeds are transcendental, and that anyone who is so fortunate as to know the transcendental nature of his birth and deeds will at once become liberated and eligible to return to the kingdom of God. So knowledge of the transcendental nature of the birth and deeds of Lord Shri Krishna is sufficient for liberation. In the Bhagavatam, the transcendental nature of the Lord is described in 9 cantos, and in the 10th canto, his specific pastimes are taken up. All this becomes known as one's reading of this literature progresses. It is important to note here, however, that the Lord exhibited his divinity even from the lap of his mother, that his deeds are all superhuman. He lifted Govardhan Hill at the age of 7, and that all these acts definitely prove him to be actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet due to his mystic covering, he was always accepted as an ordinary human child by his so-called father and mother and other relatives. Whenever some Herculean task was performed by him, the father and mother took it otherwise, and they remained satisfied with unflinching filial love for their son. As such, the sages of Naimisharanya describe him as apparently resembling a human being, but actually he is the Supreme Almighty Personality of Godhead. Kritavan Kila Karmani Saha Ramena Keshava Atimatyani Bhagavan Kuda Kapita Manushaha. Lord Shri Krishna, personality of Godhead, along with Balaram, played like a human being, and so masked he performed many superhuman acts. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Vacharane Nirvishesha Shinivadi Paskadyaste Satarne. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Maya asakta partha yogam yunjanmanashaya asamshayam samagramam itagyasisi tatshinu. Tatshinu means hear. So we're in a process of learning how to hear. Why can't we hear? Because our minds interfere with the hearing process sometimes. Just like if you put a glove on your tongue and you try to taste prasadam, it's very difficult to relish the prasadam with the tongue. Now, if we take the glove off, then the prasadam becomes tasty. Simply because our minds are covered by ignorance and passion principally, therefore it's difficult to hear. Because every word we hear may or may not agitate our minds, which are very subject to being agitated. And if you have a clear lake of water, and if you throw even one insignificant pebble into the lake, then immediately the lake becomes disturbed and the mud on the bottom becomes agitated and makes the lake cloudy. So similarly, even one word that agitates our minds makes the whole mind cloudy, and therefore we can't hear properly. Just like it says in the Nectar of Instruction, Sat Krishna Namit Charitadi Sitaptya Vidya Pito Patapta Rasanas Narochikanu Kinvadarad Anudinam Kalasaiva Jushta Swadvikramad Bhavati Tadkala Mulahantri. That the holy name, form, quality, and pastimes of Krishna are all transcendently sweet like sugar candy. Although the tongue of one afflicted by the jaundice of avidya cannot relish anything sweet, it is wonderful how by simply chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within the tongue, and one's disease of jaundice is destroyed, of avidya, or ignorance, is destroyed at the root. In other words, just like Bakasura one day appeared on the bank of the Jamuna when Krishna and the cowherd boys were playing, and immediately he swallowed Krishna. Bakasura was a big crane. But although Krishna is sweet like sugar candy, in the mouth of Bakasura, Krishna tasted very bitter. So he had to vomit Krishna up. And then of course he tried to kill Krishna with his beak, sharp beak, but Krishna took his beak and bifurcated his mouth and killed him. So similarly, we're chanting Hare Krishna, and sometimes it tastes rather bitter. But it's not that the holy name is bitter, it's our consciousness is bitter. But we take it that the holy name is just imagination, over-glorified. I've been chanting so long, and yet I don't taste any sweetness, or very much sweetness. Or even if I tasted sweetness in the past, I've forgotten about it. And therefore now it's bitter task to chant Hare Krishna. Just like the deities are non-different from Krishna, but if we don't at least theoretically accept it, then we won't change our attitude or our activities. For one who's covered by the material energy, it's not possible to relish sweetness if we accept the covering as reality. If we actually think that we're situated in reality at the time, we accept whatever the mind is presenting to us as reality, rather than understand that we're now covered by the illusory energy, and therefore whatever presentation we may have by the mind, to one degree or another it's going to be either inaccurate or incomplete or deceptive, etc. So we have to understand that, otherwise we'll take the mind very seriously as some kind of authority. Therefore, it is explained here that our philosophy begins with understanding that we're not this body, that we're spiritual beings. Now, if we're actually spiritual beings, then our whole other conceptions of existence is just a dream, illusory. Dream is also real, but it's just temporary. So our present conditioning is real, but it's really not our ultimate reality. It's just some temporary experience we're having. We're a soul having a material existence, not a material existence having a soul. But what do we have to understand? Denosmi nita dehe kaumaram yovanam jara. If we're not convinced of that my body's changing but I'm not changing, then nothing else makes any sense of what we're doing. If we actually believe that we're this body, and that as the body changes, that we're changing too along with the body, then why work so hard for something that doesn't exist, namely the soul? On the other hand, just to understand that we're not this body is not sufficient for self-realization. Therefore, a great devotee, Parasara Muni, he says that Aishvaryasya samagrasya viryasya shashastriyaha jnana vairagyas chainam shanga bhagahitenganaha. That what is the definition of the Supreme? Now, everyone is thinking that they're the Supreme, although it's a little embarrassing. Most of us are a little more sane. We don't present ourselves as the ultimate Supreme. We just think we're the most apparent Supreme that exists right now, in this present moment. So do we fit the definition of the Supreme by Parasara Muni? That Aishvarya, what are the opulence that we have? Do we have unlimited beauty? Anyone here is going to claim that they have unlimited beauty? Some people think like that. Almost unlimited. But I'm Miss Universe. Even the demigods have lost the contest. I'm crowned Miss Universe or Mr. Universe. And we're waiting for Lord Brahma to come and put the crown on me. Aishvaryasya samagrasya, complete, virya, strength. Anyone here is going to claim that they can lift Govardhan Hill even? What, any hill? Lift Tivoli Park. No, we're lucky if we have a 50 kilo weight. We'd have a hard time lifting it. So how can we be unlimitedly strong? Virya yashasha. What about famous? How famous are we? Does everyone in Ljubljana know our name? I hope not. We'd have to do something really bad for everyone to know our name. Yashashastriya, that's beauty. Aishvaryasya samagrasa viryasya yashashastriya. Jnana. Does everyone know everything? Does everyone know everyone's name in this room right now? We went around and we asked, does anyone know everyone's name? More or less. Obviously we don't know everything, past, present, and future. Aishvaryasya jnana vairagya. What about detachment? If someone gets on our case and starts criticizing us, takes away our prasadam today, how detached are we going to be? Vairagyasya. So, Aishvaryasya, full wealth, Aishvaryasya Samagrasya Viryasya Yashashastriyaha Jnana Vairagya Chainam Shaga Bhagahitinganaha. So, we don't have, most of us, if we examine our qualifications, we don't even know we're not this body completely. So how can we have complete knowledge? What's the peak of the other qualities? But that must be the definition of God. Otherwise, what other definition of God is better than that one? God's Prabhupada used to say, the Mayavadis say that there's Narayan, he's God, and then there's the goat, Narayan, he's also God. Everyone is God. So we feed goat Narayan to the human Narayan. So how can Narayan be poor? Poor Narayan. Narayan must be the richest. How can he be a poor person? That's an insult to Narayan. If we say that you're the wealthiest person in Slovenia, but you have nothing in your bank account, it's an insult. What kind of praise is it? You're the wealthiest, but you have nothing. Therefore, we have to see who in history has all wealth, all beauty, all strength, all fame, all knowledge, all renunciation. Where is there any history within human society of anyone having all these qualities? So they say, well, when we present Krishna, that he has a history of this. Then they say, well, that's mythology. But at least our mythology corresponds to something which is logical and real. Even if it's mythology, who are you going to present as a better candidate for God? Someone who can produce a little ash in their hand, a little gold, although he's shown on videos as being a cheater. When I was in Los Angeles, I think around 1971, I was sitting in the Los Angeles garden with Srila Prabhupada and Karunda, who was the president of Los Angeles at that time. And among other things, Karunda mentioned that there's this boy coming in to the airport soon. His name is what was his name actually? Guru something. Guru Maharaji. And that some representatives of Guru Maharaji came and asked the devotees to come and greet Guru Maharaji, God, because he was coming to the airport. Because Guru Maharaji said that the devotees in the Hare Krišna movement were his best devotees. So when Prabhupada heard that, he said, yes, you should go to the airport and greet him and kick him in the face with your shoes on. Because Prabhupada was just showing, he didn't expect us to actually go there and kick him in the face with shoes on. Instead, in another time, when Guru Maharaji was coming to some place, someone took a pie and pushed it into his face. And he couldn't do anything. Hopefully it was a nice pie. Because at least he could eat pie. So he's God, he's so powerful, and yet he can't even prevent someone from putting a pie in his face. And when he went to the dentist, Prabhupada said, well, God has to go to the dentist. He's at the mercy of the dentist. What kind of God is that you're going to worship? So here we have, theoretically in Srimad Bhagavatam, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But step by step, he'll explain that not only he's having his pastimes in Goloka Vrindavan, but he's having his pastimes in this material world. Now our faith depends upon our experience, and our experience depends upon our perception. Whatever faith we have now is due to our past experiences. But Bhagavatam gives us an opportunity to see even those past experiences with a different vision. For instance, it's not that Krishna is only the Supreme Person with all opulence in the spiritual world, or even that he just came here and displayed those opulences in 5,000 years ago, but we have no opportunity to see them now with our physical eyes. Although we're promised that by purification of our mind, that we can experience those pastimes within our heart. But that may not be open to everyone. Our hearts may not be so pure that the transcendental pastimes of Krishna are flowing through our heart incessantly like waves. But we have the opportunity to see how Krishna is present. In the first canto, in the second canto, how Krishna is present in our heart as a supersoul. And when Krishna says, Savasya chaham ridhi sanavishto matak sarva smitir jnanam aponam cha vedascha savaraham eva vedyo vedanta krid vedavid eva chaham. That I'm situated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Now, I think we all have the experience that sometimes we're trying to remember something and we can't do it. We can look at someone and we think, I know their name, I know their face, but I can't remember their name. Did that ever happen to anyone here? And we try and we're frustrated, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, the name pops into our head without even trying. And we say, oh, thank God, I remembered it now. Yes, thank God. Because we're not completely in charge of our memory. Matter of fact, all we can do is to try to desire to remember something, and whether Krishna helps us remember what we're trying to remember or not, that's not really up to us. Is being supplied. Just like intelligence, we look around, and according to our maximum advancement in Krishna consciousness, we might actually perceive what's going on. And when we perceive what's going on in terms of Krishna consciousness, that changes our attitude to what we're doing, hopefully. Now, if we don't perceive things in Krishna consciousness, that will also change our attitude. So our intelligence supplied by Krishna, real intelligence, namely how to see things in Krishna consciousness, is vital for our advancement. But it's not. Whatever realizations we have were given to us. We didn't create them, they were given to us. They were supplied to us. And mostly our realizations come after we agree to give up our misconceptions. If we're holding tight onto our misconceptions, I'm not going to give this up. I'm going to get for revenge first. I'm going to get my justice first, and then I'll think about giving it up. As long as you hold on to it, then Krishna's all right. I won't take it away from you. You're attached to Maya, then hold on to it as tightly as you can until you get tired of it. If we're holding something in our hand really tightly and someone offers us something valuable, that before we can pick up the thing that's valuable, we have to let go of the thing that's useless. But if we hold on to the thing that's useless, we'll never let it go, then we'll never be able to pick up anything valuable. Therefore, the philosophy is not only about how wonderful Krishna is, but how we're being cheated by the illusory, being attached to the illusory energy. We're being cheated of our real wealth, spiritual consciousness. So, if we hear how Krishna is giving us remembrance, how Krishna is giving us forgetfulness, sometimes we're trying to forget something, and it just keeps on appearing in our mind. I hate this person. I hate this person. I can't give it up. Why? Because it's coming to my mind. Yeah, I hate it. It's true. It's true in my mind. I agree with you 100%. there's good reasons, and the mind says, tell me the reasons why I hate this person. And then the mind says, they did this to you. Yeah, that's right. Anything else? Yeah, that's right. I'm really getting angry. The more my mind preaches to me. I'm justified. I'm lucky I don't kill this person. Or they're lucky. So, sometimes we try to forget something. My mind keeps on bringing it up because we're not really trying to forget it. We take pleasure, like people go to a horror movie. And they want to be scared. They want to be disturbed. They want something intense that they can, experience. Because their lives are so boring. They need some drama in it, something to spark them, motivate them, get them moving. Fight, kill, stab. Mentally at least, not physically. Here's my words. Brahmastra. I've killed you. Well, here's my words. You hurt me. I'm wounded. Here's my Brahmastra. I'm wounded. My heart is mortally wounded. Help! Police, come arrest them. Murder! So all this drama we've created, but it's meaningless. It's like a bunch of ants getting together and fighting with each other. I'm the red ant, you're the black ant. It's to the death. For our glory and victory of the red ant kingdom or the black ant kingdom. But who cares about it? It doesn't even make the ant journal, if they had one. No one cares. It's insignificant. So Krishna is supplying remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So we have to think, Krishna, what are you supplying me right now? Is this really what I'm supposed to be attached to? Is there something better I can remember? Should I remember some sloka from the Bhagavatam, from the Bhagavad Gita, that will clarify this particular mood, this particular thinking, this feeling I'm going through, and even my willing, what I'm doing? Is this something that makes it Krishna conscious, that clarifies it? Pray to Krishna for a good remembrance, and a good forgetfulness, and good knowledge. And then see whether or not we're dependent on there is the Supreme Lord in everyone's heart, equal to everyone. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinasyava vinashantam yak pashyati sapashyati. One who sees the Supreme Lord accompanying all beings and all bodies, and who knows neither the self nor the super self is ever destroyed, he actually sees. So for ourselves, we have to learn how to see the super soul. Not that I'm visualizing a little man in everyone's heart with 4 arms. Yeah, I can see it now, the super soul. It's there. 4 arms, conch shell, wheel, lotus, and club. I see it. I'm enlightened. Without glasses, we can't even read this book most of the time. How can you see something less than 1/10,000th the size of the parent's size? Not possible. But by theory, we can see the super soul. By how he's acting, because he is acting. We do have a relationship with him. Just like in the morning, of course in Ljubljana lately, it's not a good example, but generally in the morning you expect the sun come up, and the sun rays, more or less, they come into the window here, and things get a little lighter. But we don't see the sun. I mean, who saw the sun today? But we understand the sun's there because we see the light of the sun. If someone says, oh, so what if there's light? I don't believe the sun's in the sky. The light came from somewhere else. Really? Where else did it come from? It doesn't matter. I don't see the sun. It doesn't exist. No, when we see how this super soul is working, then we actually at least have to accept he might be there. Even the greatest skeptic has to accept the sun might be there. And therefore, if Krishna is there, maybe it's to our advantage of taking help from him, asking him what to do in order to come to a higher state of consciousness, so that one day we'll become completely convinced. Tat Shinu, hear from me. So Krishna has given us the Bhagavad Gita, especially Bhagavad Gita, so we can hear from him. Hear from what? Tat Shinu? Maya Sakta. How to put the mind upon Krishna. Asakta means attached to Krishna. And we become attached to Krishna when we find out what? Bhoktaram Yagyataspasam Sarvaloka Maheswaram Suridam Sarvabhutanam Gyatvamam Shantim Richate. When we discover by the process of bhakti yoga that Krishna is actually controlling everything. Controlling it favorably for us. When we want favor, when we're engaged in devotional service, then everything becomes favorable towards self-realization for us. And when we want to reject Krishna and go away from him, then Krishna also helps us forget him, to go far away from him. So Krishna is controlling according to our desire and what we deserve. So when we see that, then we become convinced Krishna is controlling everything. Let me make a decision which is actually going to be beneficial for my real self, the soul. Then Krishna is the enjoyer. Now we're trying to enjoy through these senses, and we get a little bit of enjoyment. But it's not very much, not compared to what we want. We're getting a drop or two of enjoyment, but we want an ocean of enjoyment. But the materialists have rejected that. There's no such thing as unlimited happiness that goes on forever. You can only get a drop or two, and you have to work hard and suffer for it. Just get real, they say. Just wake up to reality. The world's miserable. Relish the misery. Ultimately, the highest happiness is to feel oneself a victim of this cruel world and take shelter in that misery. Or there's another possibility, there's unlimited happiness, but it's not on this material platform, it's on the spiritual platform. And that's obtained by when you water the root of the tree, then the water goes to all the leaves and branches. So we actually try to serve the root of creation, Krishna, then our happiness will become spiritual after some time. Just like we're chanting Hare Krishna, we're not chanting water, water, water 16 rounds, or any rounds, because water and its name are different. But how can we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare? And it doesn't get boring unless our minds take us away from it. The chanting, if we're actually chanting Hare Krishna, is not boring. If we're chanting Shnik Shnik, Ram Ram, Day 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 Day, Hey Kitty Kitty, Hey Kitty Kitty, then it's boring because we're not chanting Hare Krishna. We're chanting something else. So it's spiritual. Spiritual means that it's always fresh and new. That's spiritual. Material means you chew it and you chew it, there's no more sugar, and you just want to spit it out. You're chewing the gum, and there's no more sugar left, and you're just working your jaws, but there's no sweetness. A little sweetness in the beginning, there's a little sugar in it, but after a while you're just working your jaws. And Krishna is the supreme friend of everyone. He's not trying to torture us. Material nature was not meant that we rejected Krishna. He put us into this miserable condition because he wants to see us suffer for rejecting him. He's like a lover who's been rejected, who wants revenge. Krishna wants revenge on us, and therefore he's causing us to suffer. Suffer, you rascal. I'm going to get even with you. You don't like me? I don't like you either. Suffer. Slap, slap. Oh, I surrender. You better surrender. I'm the big cheese up here, and you're the little piece down there. No, Krishna is a friend of everyone. He's slapping us through the material nature, as it says in the Bhagavatam, that the father, he doesn't want to chastise his son because that will create a bad relationship between the father and the son. So he hands over the son to a chastising agent who chastises the son according to what the son does, good or bad. So Krishna has handed us over to the material nature because that's what we wanted. We wanted to go as far away from Krishna as we could, and here we are. Not here. Here we've come closer. But most people are trying to get away from Krishna. And so therefore Krishna puts them into the material nature. But the material nature gives them the rewards, either heaven or hell or here, according to what we've done and what we desire. But Krishna wants us back to the spiritual world. He wants back a relationship, and therefore he comes as these incarnations. He speaks Bhagavad Gita. He has the sages Namasharanya, hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, just to give us an opportunity, if we want to come back to reality. And accept there is a person who has unlimited beauty and strength and knowledge and fame, renunciation, strength, and that there's no reason to compete with him because it's impossible to compete with him. But he's utilizing all his assets for the welfare of everyone, not for his own benefit. He's trying to help everyone with his assets. But because we're envious of him, we don't get any help. We deny his help, and therefore he can't give us the help. So this literature is meant to convince us that we should at least ask for help from Krishna, hear his instructions, try to follow them, and then hopefully get his mercy, and therefore benefit ourselves. Otherwise, what are they promising now? Who are they putting forward as God? No. They're always putting someone forward as God. There's no permanent God. There's, I don't know who's... someone like, at least, what was his name? Who was that famous dancer? Black dancer? Michael what? Michael Jackson. He was God. For some people, he was God. Before that was Elvis Presley, probably before your time. Because he could move his hips in a certain way, he became God. Or Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali. He was God to people. Or Mick Jagger. He would fall at his feet, I surrender to you. He was the Acharya. So people have their Mahatma, their Acharya, everyone has them and they're following it. But what kind of Mahatma? What was the name of the person who could produce ashes? Sai Baba. So that's their God. Is he if you ask, God is the most, is he the most beautiful? Sai Baba was the most unlimitedly beautiful. Was he unlimitedly strong? What was he, and what qualification did he have to be glorified as God? So we should choose the real God, the God who's directing our wanderings in this world, who's giving us remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness, who at least we have literature to tell us how to come in contact with him if we want to. Try it out. Otherwise, we have to choose someone else as the leader and follow them. If we don't choose these books as our guide and leader, we'll have to, get some other book, some magazine like Time Magazine, or How to Win Friends and Influence People. Something we'll have to choose as our leader and follow it. But where will it bring us? That's the question. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj. How can we see how super soul act?
Well, look at a little ant. And what is it doing? It's looking for sugar. So what does it know where the sugar is? It doesn't have any 5G telephone and another ant's calling it up, come here, sugar is here. No, it's being guided by someone who's giving its intelligence where the sugar is. He's been provided with certain senses and a certain intelligence. He can find sugar a bit faster than we can. So we can see the super soul working in an ant, what to speak of everyone else. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Wala Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.